Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Eric Polite. I'm the chair of the America's Ethnic Diversity Network for BT. And welcome. We're having a panel discussion today, and it's entitled "Ignite the Future: Why Mentoring Matters." And we have a lovely, diverse panel group of panelists, and we're going to discuss the topic of mentoring. We have adults. We have a couple of teens on the call. Those are our rock stars for this panel discussion. But the topic is mentoring and why it's important. We know the world is with the pandemic, with all of the different injustices that are happening. The world is a crazy place. And we as adults, we know how to navigate it well. The children who are our future, maybe not so much. So they need some help and some guidance, and mentoring is the way to do that. So we felt as a community here at BT that it was important for us to have a conversation, a discussion around the topic of mentoring and what that looks like in this day and age, how we can participate in mentoring if we want to, if we choose to. Hopefully after this call, everybody in attendance will choose to want to be a mentor if you're of a certain age. That's the goal. So without further ado, nobody came to hear me talk. Let me introduce the panelists. We have a distinguished group of panelists. I call it the Rockstar group of panelists. I can't believe we were able to assemble this group of individuals together. But first, we have the CEO of BT Global, who carved out some precious time, Bas Burger. Bas, wave to the people. He's on
Hi,
with us.
Eric.
Hey, Boz, thanks for joining. Uh, Also from BT, we have one of our top sales professionals, Liz Doe. Liz, say hi to the peoples.
Hey, everyone. So great to be here. Thanks.
Great, great, great. And we have our external guests. So we're the three BT folks. And we have our external guests. They're from an organization called Speakwell. And they're all about mentoring and training up our youths. And the founder of this group is Patty Kennedy. Patty, give us a couple of words about Speakwell and what it is, please, if you don't mind.
Thank you. I don't mind at all. And I'm very excited to be here. I'm Patty Kennedy, and my background is as a communications advisor and entrepreneur. But I'm also founder of Speakwell, which is an after-school public speaking and leadership program, and it enables students to build their voice, learn leadership skills, and offer opportunities like this one, like the BT panel, to demonstrate those skills. So the students in the program have spoken at BT previously at UBS. They've done podcasts, they've written national articles, and actually they were the first in the country from a K through 8 school, you're looking at 2 of them, to deliver TED Talks, 7th graders who delivered TED Talks. So as part of the program, we are very fortunate to have role models such as John Wallace, retired NBA player and New York Knicks, and Amy Hargreaves, who you probably know from Homeland and 13 Reasons Why. And we also have business leaders who speak to the kids and the students about character and leadership. So we are growing. We went from 9 students to over 150. We've been nominated for a number of awards, but today we are most grateful to all of you, to Bas, to Eric, to Melinda Gold, to Rob Peterson, to Liz, to the entire BTP team for just making this possible. And I believe it is a first. So thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you. Well said. And she did mention that we have external guests. We're going to start with, I can't even do my New York Knicks announcer's voice. I'm sorry. I had it all prepped and then I just lost it. John, a couple of words.
Hey, how you doing? First of all, I just want to say thank you to everyone. Definitely a special
Ooh,
shout out.
your audio is kind of scratchy, John.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but it's scratchy. Can you do it without the?
All right, let me take these off. Is that better?
Oh, lots.
Okay.
Let's try. So from the New York Knicks, we have John Wallace. Go.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it, man. First of all,
No
I
worries.
just want to thank everyone for allowing me to be a part of this, especially Patty for reaching out to me early on and get me involved in something so special and something that's going to be, life changing, I think. And definitely, Bas, I don't think this happens without you signing off on it, being the CEO. So special shout out to you. Thank you so much. And all the people over at BT, thank you. Really appreciate it. And we're just ready to, change these kids' lives and make these kids more confident and better people in this world.
All right. Thanks, John. And from our the land of cinema in Hollywood, we have Miss Amy Hargreaves. Hi, Amy.
Hi, guys. How are you? I'm land of Hollywood, but I'm in New York, full disclosure. Thank you so much for having me. I am an old friend of Patty Kennedy's. I mean, not old like age, but, we've known each other for years. We were neighbors in New York City and have kind of held each other's hand as we became parents in New York and raising our kids. So when Patty spoke to me about Speakwell a few years ago, I wanted to be involved right away because, on paper, it's a public speaking after school class for kids, but it has kind of quickly evolved into something that is so much more than that. And it really, I see it as something that, we're helping create the leaders of tomorrow and to kind of give these kids, just a window into what's possible for them and kind of empowering them to become who they're meant to be. So I'm thrilled to be a part of this, and thanks BT for having us, and go team.
Thanks for coming, Amy. Enjoyed that. Okay, so last but certainly not least, we have the reason why we're on this call. If you're going to be a mentor, you have to have mentorees. So without further ado, Zena, hi. You're on mute.
Wait, hi.
Okay.
Oh, hi, I'm Zena. I'm from Speakwell. I was one of the original 9 kids. And yes, I'm really excited to be talking about mentoring because it has really impacted my life as a whole and, as a part of every program I've been in.
Got it. And
Eric, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can I add something to Zena that she's way too humble to say?
Sure.
But I'm not. So Zena was part of the first 9 kids to deliver TED Talks in the country, and she was the first and only girl in the program at that time. So you ladies and gentlemen are looking at the first girl in the country to deliver a TED Talk, Miss Zena Gardner.
Wow. Okay.
And in addition,
Zena, you gotta put that in your resume, girl.
Yeah. And she not only inspired everybody and more girls to join the program, she also inspired her mom to get up and speak at church. And I think that's just as important. So that's our Zena. And then awesome. Tristam.
And then and we have Sir Tristam with an M at the end. He had to correct me yesterday because I said Tristan, and he immediately corrected me. Tristam, sir, introduce
yourself. Hi, I'm Tristam, and like Zena, I was one of the original 9 people who were part of Speakwell, and it's like Zena said, it's impacted my life in ways I did not think it would. At first, I thought it was just going to be a fun little class that we were going to do for a year, and then it transformed into this. And honestly, it's a lot better.
Okay, thanks, Tristam, excuse me, sir. And we got all of the panelists out the way. I have to circle back because everybody got to speak except our CEO. So Bas, please, a few words.
No, it's fine, Eric. I think we'll probably need to get the panel started. This is an impressive group. I'm humbled, so I really look forward to the discussion.
Cool. Great. So let's get it started. So we're going to start this off with this is a Patty Kennedy invention. It's called the Fast Fire. So to get everybody's juices going, I'm going to ask a question and ask everybody to keep their answers short, 10 words or less. So here's the question, and the question is, what does mentoring mean to you? Let's start with our guests of honor. Tristam, what does mentoring mean to you?
To me, mentoring is helping others achieve their goals.
Okay, short, sweet, and to the point. Good work, young man. Miss Zena, what does mentoring mean to you?
To me, mentoring means shared learning from both parties.
Okay, wow, she counted her words out on her fingers. I love it. Miss Doe, what does mentoring mean to you?
Mentoring means to me share experiences to accelerate growth.
Okay, got it. Miss Amy.
Ooh, I guess mentoring for me, it means meeting kids where they're at and helping them move forward.
Got it. Sir John.
Making kids better people.
Okay, got it. Miss Patty.
Showing up for each other, same as leadership.
Got it. Bas.
Being challenged and opening your eyes.
Okay, that was a great fast fire. Okay, let's move this along. So our first question for the panelists, that we split it up for different folks to ask. Here's the first one. Did you have a mentor growing up, and what was something you learned from being mentored that you utilize when mentoring others? So, John, why don't you start us off with that? Did you have a mentor growing up? Anybody you looked up to?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a couple of mentors, especially being a part of the PAL League, which is the Police Athletic League up in Rochester, New York. I was I played PAL football, basketball, boxing, softball, and the police and the detectives and sergeants that were the coaches. It helped you build a rapport with the police, and I think that's something that's missing today with everything going on. And we're actually trying to bring that back up in Rochester and then ignite it in Syracuse, because they've never had a PAL program. But being mentored by those policemen, sometimes when I was doing things that I shouldn't be doing, they would let you slide because they know you, or they just make you run extra laps in practice, which was worse than them telling your mom. But they'd run you till you couldn't move. So those guys who some of them aren't around anymore, but the ones who are, I still talk to them, and they just were definitely heavily an integral part of my life in terms of mentoring me as a young man, keeping me on the right path.
Wow. Thanks for that, John. And let's pivot to one of our young people, Miss Zena. Mentoring.
To me, mentoring has taught me the value of my voice and the value of the voices of others. Ever since I was a little kid, my mother instilled the value of my voice, and that was just amplified when I started speaking and being a part of programs like Speakwell. And Miss Kennedy is a huge part and reason of why I know the value of my voice. And I feel like it's so important for everyone to know how important your voice is and can be, and how much you can impact the world with, one speech or, one appearance. It's so powerful because you are important in this whole ecosystem. Without you, the world's balance would be off. So that's what mentoring has taught me all throughout my life.
Okay, all throughout your long life, Zena, I love it. So Bas, lastly to you, did you have a mentor growing up? Did anybody influence you on your path to CEO-ness?
Well, it's funny you ask. No, I actually, when I was young, I was coached a lot by my dad, and I'm sure everybody's had some sort of mentorship from their parents. But I was coached well by my dad, and as some of you probably know, I'm Dutch. So when I grew up, I was in the Netherlands, and at some point I got an opportunity to go to the US as an exchange student. And my dad told me, he said, if you go, you need to make sure I didn't speak any English, or I spoke some English, but clearly you needed to learn it. But he said, if you're in high school, because I was going to be in high school, you need to take speech lessons, because if there's one thing, and this was in 1988, so it gives away a little bit of my age now, but in 1988, and my dad said, because Americans are always very good at speaking, they can stand up at a dinner and they can just talk. I mean, we didn't have TED Talks at the time, Zena, but that would have probably given me a heart attack. But just standing up in class was already scary for me. So I took speech lessons whilst I was learning English, and I took speech classes as well. So, and why am I telling this? I think it is, until today, I still use every time I speak, whether it's in a small audience, whether it's in a TV interview, whether it's in a huge audience in a room, I still use the things I've learned in those speech lessons. Just simple things that, Zena, you probably learned from, you know, how to speak at a TED Talk. I mean, I probably still get a heart attack if I do that. But, you know, I think, and that's the value of being mentored. That's the value of being coached. And, you know, if you pick it up, you accelerate, and you will benefit from it for the rest of your life.
Thank you. Well stated. Okay, so let's keep this moving because we have a lot of ground to cover. But thank you for those points, guys. Next question: describe an experience involving mentoring and how it impacted you. Miss Amy, why don't you start us off with that? I know, with the bright red glasses.
An experience. I guess we can talk about how working with Speakwell evolved kind of quickly at the beginning of the pandemic, because, you know, it's very different to be in a room with a bunch of young people in a classroom, you know, talking to them in person, to be, you know, sitting like this with these screens. And Patty had an idea early on in the pandemic where we would play, you know, somebody picked a song or some music that they liked, and we would get up and dance on the Zoom meeting with the kids from Speakwell. And I thought that was kind of a great little tool in the moment, but also just a great lesson of kind of connecting with the young people in a way that showed us that we're all in the same boat. You know, even though I'm, you know, old and, you know, an actress, and they're young kids, we're all sitting in our apartments or in our houses on Zoom, staring at each other in these little boxes, and we can all just kind of connect, get up from our chairs, put some music on, dance together, and then kind of let our hair down and you know, continue on with our meeting. And it was just kind of a lesson in, you know, how we're all kind of going through the same things, even though we're very different. So.
Great, thank you for that.
Did that answer the question? Yeah.
It sure did. It absolutely did. We're going to go over to Miss Liz for the next one. Describe an experience involving mentor and how it impacted you. I know you have a few.
Well, for me, you know, I've been so lucky in my life to have so many great mentors, coaches, and obviously role models. But one that I always kind of come back to is, it was fairly early in my career, and it was this big deal that, you know, it would have made my year, it would have put me on the map and all of this. So it was one of my customers at that point was this high-tech company, and one of the decision maker and influencer was a woman that basically was a founding member of Women in IT at this organization, and we were also selling into them. And she was a bit of my idol. So there was this one crucial meeting that would have like made, you know, take the deal to the next level, and all the executives were there. And if you know me, I want to make sure everyone's comfortable and happy and sorted. And then when the meeting started, I realized I don't have a seat. So I kind of took a little seat back, and then she stopped the meeting and she said, you know what, guys, one of the reasons why we're here is because Liz fought so hard for you to be here for the last 9 months. Let's make sure she's here with us. And in that moment, and I still remember it, I get chills just because she reminded me, and Zena, what you said was so meaningful. She reminded me of my voice. She validated the fact that I put all this work into something that I was so passionate about. So she became a great mentor and a friend. And through the years, the things I learned most about her and the things that she imparted on me was pay it forward. Pay it forward. So I've had so many opportunities to do that. But one of the things that have touched me to this day, I did some volunteer work for an organization here in San Francisco that was providing resources for people transitioning back into mainstream society, right, through personal adversity. And I was on the team to help prepare to interview, you know, people to interview for roles, different types of roles. And the transformation of watching these men and women, young men and women, well, women and men of all ages, actually, you work with them, you get them a suit that fits somebody well, they stand straighter. You help them with makeup and they smile brighter because they start to find their own confidence. And for me to watch that physical transformation, that was a really profound experience for me because I was brought in kind of as a mentor, but they taught me so much about compassion, empathy, and really just this ecosystem that we're here for, right? And so to me, that speaks volume. And I think really mentoring to me is just really pay it forward, just pay it forward, right? So that's my experience.
I'm sorry, you guys are talking and I'm writing my little tidbits down. I got value in my voice, paid for it. I'm just writing, so I'm getting my education as we go through this. Thank you for that, Liz. Okay, Tristam, Miss with the M. You are on mute, young man.
Yeah, I did not realize. Thank you. I'm not sure. There have been a couple of moments, but I'm pretty sure the biggest one was right before I got on and did the TEDx talk. I was a nervous wreck. Like, I was like going over my head, oh, I have to say this and do this and do this. And then I got up there after Patty had like given me a hug and said, you know, you can do this, don't worry. And then like for the first 5 seconds, I'm like stiff as a board and a nervous wreck. And then I start walking like I did when I was practicing. And then I kind of zoned out and just did it. And then through that, Patty taught me that you just have to believe in yourself. Like, I knew I could do it, but I was still nervous. And then I just kind of was able to do it. And then that helped me realize that with a good mentor, or rather in this case, a perfect mentor, I can do more than I can realize.
Tristam, thank you for that. And that is such a segue into the last person we're going to ask is to Miss Kennedy. He just served you a softball, ma'am. And
well, you know, they make me cry. Now you got all screwed up because the guy's going to make me cry. And I'm so proud of you. I am so, so proud of you. So let me say that to both of you. You got a quick second. I'm going to tell you a quick story. And I think that's going to illustrate the impact. And that story, that lesson for me is all in anyway. And when we started this program, it was in a makeshift classroom, right? And the kids had never taken a class, and I had never taught one. And T and Z, were we kind of a disaster, right? We were a bit of a disaster at the time, right? So we sat down to talk, and it was really never about writing or reciting a speech. You know, the thing they struggled with is the thing that we all struggle with, which is mindset. And anyone who's achieved anything will tell you 90% of success is mindset. And then you learn the skill and the application of that skill after. So that's what we decided to focus on. And when the TEDx came up, and a lot of people didn't think we could do it and didn't believe or didn't understand. And we said to each other, not just the students and I, but the parents and the teachers at St. Joseph's Yorkville, we said, you know what? We need to be all in anyway. We need to be all in anyway. And when I met John, I met him the same day that I heard him speak. And he'll tell you, I knew very little about basketball. But the way he spoke to the kids and what he spoke about, I thought that guy's all in. And that's why I approached him, and he became a role model and helped me develop the program. And Amy said, like, I've known her for 15 years, all in. Eric, Melinda Gold, Rob Peterson, the comms team, the tech team. I mean, when do you see students do a panel like this? It's not typical. It was strange and weird and uncertain, all in. Liz saw the panels, reached out and said, wow, this was a phenomenal impact these students had. And when these other group of students heard her words and heard her reaction, they said, wow, I can't believe we had that kind of impact. She all in. That's what they said. And then here we are today with Mr. Bas Burger on this panel. I've worked with a lot of CEOs. I've never known a CEO to be on a panel like this before. So I think that's the impact. And when I look at it, it's easier said than done. Right? Because maybe we've all been afraid, or there's miscommunication, or maybe we all grew up and got a little burned along the way. But at one point, that was my lesson. Like, at one point, we all wanted that. And if you can choose all in, incredible things happen. And I'm really grateful to all the students and for teaching me and reminding me that lesson. I'm really grateful for all of you for reinforcing it, because look at what's happened. I mean, I'm looking at the case study right here, and this has been within less than a year. So that's my impact, and I think that's the effect of it.
Thank you for that, Miss Patty. Okay, so moving right along to our next question, and Zena, get yourself ready and off mute because it's coming to you. Okay, so what was something that you were surprised to learn with your experience with mentoring and Speakwell in this organization? What surprised you? Did anything surprise you, Zena?
Yes. The biggest thing that surprised me when I was being mentored, which I still am, and when I mentor other kids, is how much the small things in life matter. How much the small movements you make matter in other people's perception of you. It's like a butterfly effect. Everything you do affects you. And, you know, when you're being mentored, people tell you these things. And, you know, as they keep drilling it into your head, especially Miss Kennedy, she helped me so much in realizing this, down to your posture and the way you talk. Everything matters. And the more they drill this into your head, the more you start to understand and realize how much these small things matter. And in mentoring other kids, I've started to notice those small things, those same small things they would point out to me, I see those in other kids. And it's so profound and so interesting. And it's so important to make sure that, you know, you have control of those small things. Again, it's like a butterfly effect. Everything you do affects your perception of other people and of yourself.
Okay. Now, Zena, I'm sorry, but I have to put you on the spot. How old are you?
I just turned 14, I think 2
You
weeks
just
ago.
turned 14. Okay, so I'm going to be clear. When I was your age, I had no idea what the butterfly effect was. Kudos to you. It took me into college to understand what the butterfly effect was, but you got it at 14. We are in a new age, people. Okay, so moving right along, Bas, same question to you. What surprised you in your mentoring journey? What did you not expect that shocked you?
Well, I want to mention an example of our reverse mentoring program within BT. As many of you know, we've after the Black Lives Matter events from last year and all the attention that we've given ethnic diversity in our entire organization, we decided to do a reverse mentoring program for all senior leaders, so the entire board, as well as all the levels below from the start, and now basically everybody does it. And for me, I mean, first of all, I think being mentored also means being motivated to being mentored. And I think Tristam as well as Zena are clearly extremely motivated, and they suck up the information really well. And I think that's the moment you learn, but also that's the moment you get surprised. My reverse mentoree, if that's a word, was actually based in the US. As you know, we run a global organization, but in this case, she was based in the US. Yeah, she really opened my eyes to, and I have to again agree with Zena, to small things, to things I just didn't realize had an effect on people that were, microaggressions, even in our own organization with people that I knew and worked with in a way that I just never realized. And I think that's the power of mentoring, because you get the questions and you give the answers yourself very often, and you ask the questions and you get surprised by the answers you're getting back. And that reverse mentoring program, I think, has opened my eyes in that sense, and it still surprises me now and then.
Thank you for that. Thank you. So next question up. What have you learned by listening to children's voices? So we're going to flip this and start with a children's voice. Tristam, what can we learn by listening to your voices?
This is not from my voice, just letting y'all know that. So the main thing that I've learned from my friends and younger siblings and their friends, and just kids that are, or rather just people that are under the age of, let's say, 15, everyone has different experiences and everybody is unique. They all have their place though. Doesn't matter, like nothing matters. They all have their own place. But I've also learned that you should always use your abilities for good. And I know that sounds kind of corny now that I'm saying it, but everybody should. I mean, it should be a general rule of thumb.
Got it. I'm writing that down. Use your abilities for good. Writing it down. Got my crib notes. So John, I'm gonna ask you to come off mute. If I'm not mistaken, you're a dad.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm serving you up the softball. What is listening to kids' voices? What have you learned, sir?
Well, especially for me, especially during these times, in the last year or so, when the real unrest started happening and things were getting much more volatile, and there was a lot of protests. And I remember having a long talk with my daughters about the protests, and I basically told them they were wasting their time because of what happened with the Rodney King. And I just, like, from what happened to Rodney King to what happened in 2020, I just didn't see that much of a change. So I was explaining that to her. But honestly, I had to go back and apologize because a month and a half later, there was some real traction. They were still protesting. It wasn't just a one-off. It wasn't just 2 weekends. It's still going on today in 2021, a year later. Still. So I had to apologize to my daughter because my daughter, my oldest daughter is 18, my youngest daughter is 14. She'll be 15 end of this month. And that generation is changing. That generation is saying, they're done with all the inequalities. They just want everyone to be treated as equal, and everyone to be, like I had this panel. We were on this panel before, and I was talking about how I don't really see colors. I don't see color. I don't see black and white. I just see if you're either a cool person or a jerk. And if you're a jerk, I try to stay away from you. If you're cool, you're probably in my circle. And it's really that simple. It has nothing to do with colors. It has nothing to do with how much money it's no caste system. There's none of that. It's just if you're a cool person, you're cool. And I like to be around cool people. And if you're a jerk or treat people in a way that's unbecoming of being a nice person, then I'm probably not, I'm definitely not friends with you, or you're definitely not in my circle. So, I think that gets lost in it sometimes, and, just treating people the right way. And, circling back to what my daughter, she constantly reminds me, like, Dad, you didn't listen to me before. Now you have to listen to me for everything. So now every suggestion she makes, I have to take it wholeheartedly.
You done did it now. Thank you, John, for sharing that personal view. We appreciate it. Sir Bas, you're the last one for this. Listening to children's voices. You have a couple of kids, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I mean, it's the way children ask questions, and the moment you never forget is the moment you don't know the answer to the question. And I think that is, I think when my kids were 2, probably, I mean, they could barely speak and they would just fire off all these questions, and then, oh yeah, of course. And then all of a sudden they get a question, you don't know the answer to it, and you think, and then as a parent, you're going to make up the answer because they don't know the answer anyway. So you still look cool. But that's a weird moment because you realize that asking questions is pretty powerful.
Got it. Oh man, thanks for that, Bas. Okay, so next, let's move along. If there was one piece of advice that you could give to teens, tweens, what would it be? Miss Amy. I keep surprising you. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's all good. If there was one piece of advice I could give to teens or tweens, I would say it maybe a two-part advice, and they kind of might seem contradictory, but I don't think they are. The first part is do what you love, do what you love, do what you love. The second part is go towards what scares you. I think that's really where the sweet spot is, because you need to, if you're John and you love basketball, go towards basketball. But maybe, a kid who's good at basketball might not think they could make it all the way. It's scary. Well, go for it. So I think that's really where the interesting stuff is.
Great. Thanks for that, Amy. So well put. Miss Liz, what advice would you give to teens, tweens, ma'am?
Well, I think for me, if I got this advice when I was younger, probably, and growing up, obviously, in a Vietnamese American family, right, there was a lot of things to be expected in some ways, right? But I think fail early, fail often, know that you may not succeed in everything that you try or do, and that's okay, because that's the journey. And I think that's when you learn about yourself, you learn how to innovate, you learn how to execute, and you really learn about your passion. So I think that's the advice I would give, not just young people, but everyone, right? It's okay to fail and embrace failure and challenges and adversity. So
great. Thank you for that. Thank you. Miss Kennedy.
Yes,
what
sir.
Advice? And you could take the next hour with advice, but we'll ask you to narrow it down.
Well, and I will first, Amy, Liz, 100%, 100% agree. And because I can go on and on about this, and I have probably given them so much advice, I want to flip it to the kids and say, what have I actually said? This is putting me in the hot seat that's actually been useful to you. How about that? Because I know I've given you a lot of things to think about. What do you think, T?
Okay, so Zena, do you want to go first or should I?
Such a gentleman.
I can go first. I would
Okay.
say the biggest thing that Miss Kenny has taught us to learn is not only to project your confidence, but also to trust your gut. Trust you, and everything else will be okay. As long as you have confidence in yourself and the way you feel, and you use that for good and use that to help others, then that's the biggest thing. That's the most important thing to know in life, is to trust you and trust your gut and be confident in what you believe in.
Okay. Tristan.
Well, you beat me to the punch, but that's kind of my fault. So it would probably be the second most important thing she's ever given advice to the Speakwell group. Probably would have been listen, like just in general. Doesn't matter if it's about some random thing that you are interested in, or if it's about politics. Listen, listen to everything. Get all the facts, and then make a decision. Don't shoot from the hip.
Okay, Miss Patty, they've been listening.
They are the best. They are the best.
They have been listening.
Thank you.
And
guys,
finally, before yes, ma'am. Before we get to our Q&A session, we have one more question. And we've been talking for this last, 40 minutes or so, about mentoring and our experiences. But hopefully there are some on this call that are listening. Thank you to everybody who's attending and listening in. Some folks have not started their mentoring journey. So as a word of advice, what would you say to folks about mentoring and if they want to get involved? Let's start off with Zena. If somebody wants to get involved with mentoring, what should they do? And I'm going to take your obvious answer and say join Speakwell. So you can't say that.
Okay. So if I can't use that, I would say that no matter what someone tells you, and take everything in. I'm not saying don't listen, because that is definitely very, very important. Listen, but also, use your own brain. Like you have to put in the same effort, almost like my fast fire question. I said it's shared learning from both parties. So just don't think that another person is all knowing. It's shared learning. You learn from each other. So I would say to go into mentoring with an open mind. Go in with knowing the fact that not only can someone help you, but you can also help someone else, even if they are your mentor, or if you're mentoring. It's shared learning.
Wow. Okay. So deep. I want to turn back the hands of time and be 14 again with this kind of knowledge. I tell you, I'm feeling the kind of ways. Miss Patty, I digress. Excuse me. Miss Patty, what advice would you give to those? You're an expert in this field.
First of all, 1,000%, Zena. Way to go, baby. That's absolutely right. So I loved what you just said. For people listening who want to get involved with mentoring, I'd say identify what you're passionate about and where your strengths meet the needs of the world. So that's number one. For people that want to get involved in Speakwell, because I am going to say that, you can always donate to scholarships. We have a number of scholarships for underserved schools and students. We have a number of students and schools on the waiting list. Or if you want, you can contact us if you are interested in getting a program going for your school or volunteering or in your area. So, and you can contact me directly. I'm very happy to have that conversation. But I would think, figure out what it is that you do, where your strengths are, what you're passionate about, and where that meets the world's needs.
Got it. Okay, and to wrap it all up on recommendations, our CEO, Bas.
Yeah, I mean, gee, I think it's been said pretty much all. I think if and it's back to the point we made earlier. If you want to be mentored, be motivated. You know, really are open to be challenged, to learn, to get new perspectives, to feel a tad uncomfortable now and then, because that's the whole task of the mentor, to make sure that you see new things, you open your eyes, and you get uncomfortable and learn new things. So I think that's one thing. And I think for all of you that are within BT, I think the ability and eagerness to learn is a really great virtue in the world that we live in today and that we're going to. I think having a college degree is just the first step, or having an education like a high school education or a training as a technician. It's the first step. In the world that we live in, most of the learning is on the job, is while you're while you're building your career, and the eagerness to learn is the biggest success factor for any job. And it's not intelligence, and I'm a really good example because I'm not particularly intelligent at all. We have many programs internally to be mentored, so I would urge you to go to the BT Mentorship Hub, where it's like a matchmaking tool. It's not a dating site; it's a matchmaking tool. So if you want to be a mentor or a mentee, go to that site, and you'll be able to find something.
Thanks for the BT Mentorship Hub plug, Bas.
You're welcome, Eric.
Okay, so we're right on time. We have Q&A, questions and answers, and they've been rolling in. Now, this first question I'm actually going to direct to Sir John, because it's actually a bit basketball related. Okay, so let me read it off. It says, I have a 16-year-old son who plays junior varsity basketball, was the lead in the school play, and was an honor roll student. Great, right? Well, no. He just embarked on the terrible teen phase of his life, became impossible to talk to, and is now a black belt in one-syllable answers. He lost all of his confidence, quit basketball, choir, and his GPA fell off a cliff. Question, do you have any tips on how to help him recover his confidence? Now, this isn't exactly a mentoring question, but it's a parental question. John, you got two daughters. Take it away.
Well, you gotta find out. Well, first of all, I have 2 daughters, but I have 3 boys too. So
Okay.
I deal with boys all the time, and she's got to find out why did he lose his confidence? What happened? Like, what was the reason? You got to get to the crux of the problem. Why did he leave sports? Something that's at that age is the best thing in the world. You're playing sports. You have no responsibilities. Life is great. So you got to figure out, why did he just up and stop playing sports? Why did he leave the choir? Like, something must have happened, and she's got to try to find out what that problem is, and hopefully they can rectify it. And I don't know if he's trying to the terrible teens. Sometimes I know my son, when he started not doing as well in school as I thought he should have been, or giving as much attention to school, and he, what I call, acting like a bum. Well, then all the school clothes and everything I bought, I took that away from him, and I sent him to school with the last year's clothes, last year's sneakers. If you want to.
Oh no. Oh, I think we lost John. I think his son pulled his internet connection.
Yeah.
His son walked in the room and said, "Okay, Dad, enough of this talk." I know where the router is. No. Thanks for that, John. Thanks. So we have a question for the 2 teenagers. What is the most challenging aspect of mentoring young people they have come across? Because Zena, you actually, it shocked me when you mentioned that you actually do mentoring yourself to other kids. So if you could come off mute and give us your perspective, go ahead.
Yes, I've just started out, Miss Kennedy. As of next year, when well, we're in 8th grade now. We started when we were in 6th grade. So as of next year, we will be alumni of the program. So she's already started us off talking to other classes. And I think the most challenging part for me would be trying to get, kids our age or just a little bit younger or a little bit older to trust us as not only kids their age, but someone we can have, shared learning conversations that we can help each other. And, as from a kid's perspective, I can understand how hard it can be to trust people your age who are put in a setting where they are called your mentor. It's hard to just really not get involved, but I'm just saying earn that trust from everyone. Okay. And I think that's the most challenging thing I've had so far, but I'm just starting out and I hope that will get better. But I'm pretty sure it just comes with time.
Yeah, and I tell you, you're an old lady now, so you don't have that much time left. I have another question, Tristam. I'm going to give you another question. So, has the experience with Speakwell changed your relationship with friends in a positive way? With your friends?
Definitely. So, as Patty and Zena and I all said at the beginning, Zena and I were some of the first, or rather, were part of the first group of 9 who were in Speakwell. That entire group of 9 were our friends, or rather, were my friends. Zena had some friends in there, but I think majority of them were mine. I could be wrong, but because we were all in it together, and we would constantly help each other out. Like at one point, my friend, really close friend Declan, his parents aren't necessarily the biggest fan of letting him be on electronics all the time, unless it's school related. And so he wasn't really able to get on electronics to read the news a lot or watch the news. And so I offered to fill him in because we would constantly talk about current events. So whenever I would give him, whenever we had a class, I would give him a quick synopsis of what happened within the past week. So there was that, but also a lot of the boys in the class also had a class right after that we would all go do together as well. So we were just constantly together and helping each other out on Tuesdays. So
okay, so it's been positive for you. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Miss Amy, I'm coming to you, so I don't want you to be shocked when
I'm not shocked. I'm ready now.
Here's a question. What do you say to those who feel mentoring creates a carbon copy of the mentor versus encouraging a mentee to bring their full selves to every opportunity? Ooh, that's a deep one.
People say that? I mean, that would be strange. I mean, I guess I would encourage mentors to really kind of get out of the way of things and really kind of just meet the mentee where they're at and try to kind of lift up that person in their own kind of unique way rather than, use their own kind of experience as a blueprint. So it's about seeing the people for who they are, seeing the mentee for who they are and meeting them there.
Got it. So Miss Patty, I'm going to ask you, this is my side question. In your journey at mentoring, do you see that the kids should have their own unique perspective and take, or should they be following, hey, I'm grown, I'm old, this is the way to do it, I made the mistake, so you don't have to, just do what I say do? You're on mute. Patty, take yourself off mute because I know you're pontificating.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I learned from the kids. I wouldn't have been on mute had I been listening to them. But the kids can tell you 100% it's about being yourself. 100%. We started literally as this sort of ragtag motley crew, right? You guys, everybody couldn't have been any more different. And actually the original teacher came in with sort of a binder full of dittos saying, okay, you don't do this and do this and do this. And then, and she was a terrific person, but was following very much a very structured curriculum. And I came in and I said, no, we need to actually each find our own voice, right? This is not about reciting a speech. Everybody finds their voice. That's mindset. So the original students, and now the students that we've grown to, I mean, you couldn't be more different. And that's the point. Like, everybody has a voice. Everybody has a strength. That's why it's not about these like achievements. The TEDx is great, and the podcast and the articles and the blah, 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 blah. But what they talk about is like the journey, right? So it's like finding out who you are. And that's what it is. And there's so many times that we really do learn from each other. And we did that by one of the things we do, and could help the person who asked about their child losing confidence, is every class we check in with each other and see how it's going. And we're very, honest about what's going on and with each other. And that creates a team environment, right? And, you've got to just make space for them to do that and for you to do that. So I've learned more from them than probably they've learned from me. And I would say, they're great, not because they've done a TEDx or anything else. They're great because of who they are, right? So it's just remembering that. So totally being who you are. It's not about me. So that's what I would say.
Wow, thank you so much for that. So we have a more of a comment, not a question from the Q&A, and let me read this out. This one of our BT folks said they want to send a thank you to the younger members of the panel. Listening to all the voices was the best statement I've heard. I am a father of 2 boys, aged 18 and 19, and listening to the young ones and asking them about all things modern has been so good. There are terms and words that people use nowadays that, yes, you can Google them, but hearing from my boys what they actually mean within society has helped me grow. So to the young folks, you guys are inspiring us old fogies with your words, and we thank you so much for being here. We're running out of time. I mean, that old expression, time flies when you're having fun, right? This has been engaging, it's been informative, it's been interesting. So before we go, I would be remiss if I didn't let everybody say, a couple of final words. I tell you, let's start with Liz. Miss Doe, what do you have to say in conclusion?
I'm just going to plug Speakwell all day long. I'm going to do that because I've completely fallen for Patty. The thing that she does for me, she's teaching young people lifelong skills. To be able to communicate and articulate who you are, that is the only thing that you have and you're going to carry. Life is a team sport, right? Life is a team sport. And this is so, Patty, you know how I feel about you in the organization. So those are my parting words today, obviously, right? And get everyone, join Patty. Join Patty. Join this. Anyway, so that's for me. That's for me.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you. And thank you for your participation. Appreciate you. Let's go to Sir John. Sir John, final thoughts, words on anything, mentoring.
Well, first of all, thank you again. Just like I keep saying, just wonderful to be a part of this panel. I don't know if this is the first panel with kids and the CEO on it, but I'm gonna go out there and say maybe it is. So we're setting a precedent in the mark again through Speakwell. Zena and Tristam, you guys are incredible. And like yourself, Eric, I had no idea what the butterfly effect was at 14. So. So, they're leaps and bounds ahead of where I was, and you guys just keep growing the way you've been growing. You guys are going to be all right in life, and that's what it's really all about.
John, thank you for your words. Appreciate you. Miss Amy.
This has been so interesting, and I appreciate the opportunity, BT, that you guys have offered all of us at Speakwell to kind of get the word out a little bit more and kind of listen and share back and forth. And I think that for me, one of the big takeaways, it's kind of interesting, it's the comment that you just read, Eric, from the dad of 2 who said, you can Google these things, but when you hear it from a young person's mouth, I have learned so much from my own kids about, I'm an open-minded person, but this young generation, they're just coming up with such an interesting mindset. And I'm seeing it in Tristam and Zena and all the kids in Speakwell. And I think that for us mentors, maybe we're getting more out of it than we realize, helping these young people out. It's a two-way street, and I think we need to just keep listening to each other and growing and evolving, even the old fogies. So thanks again, guys, for this opportunity, and go Speakwell, go team.
Thanks, Amy. Appreciate you. Thanks for joining us today. Let's go to our rock stars, our VIPs of this call. Let's start with Zena. Zena, final words.
I just want to say thank you for thank you to everyone for listening to us and what we had to say, and thank you so much to Speakwell and of course Miss Kennedy for being here for us from day one. And I just want to tell everyone to always believe in yourself and never lose your confidence, because you is the one thing you'll always have in life, yourself. And thank you guys for all listening and giving us this opportunity.
Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate, all of the things you said. And I'm going to take the butterfly effect with me for the next, I don't know how long. Thank you for that. Tristam with an M at the end. Last words.
I am essentially just going to rehash what Zena said, where thank you for having us on this panel, and thank you to everybody who's listening for actually listening to us. And one last word of advice is listen once again.
Tristam, you've been a delight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we have about 2 minutes left. Sir Bas, last thoughts.
Same thing for me. Big thank you. Super impressed, Zena, with you, and Tristam with you. Whenever you guys finish school, make sure you apply for a job in BT. Send me a note, because we're going to definitely hire you. You have the guts. You have the ability to learn. You guys speak clearly extremely well, and I think all the learnings that you have now, and I think in the years to come, keep that eagerness to learn, and you will get anywhere you want in life. I think it's super impressive. So thank you very much for that. And I did, as a preparation for this event, I did actually memorize the draft of 1996, 1996, which was the best draft ever. I'm really happy, Eric, you didn't ask me to name all 17, or was it 18? Yeah. But anyway, so thanks to you. Thanks, John, as well for joining this one, and Amy and Pat. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Ooh, thanks, Bas. And I want to thank, I can't see them, but everybody that's on the call that attended. Thank you for joining. This was an important topic. And we hope that you got something out of it. If you haven't mentored, try it out. It's challenging. It's going to take you out of your comfort zone when you start dealing with some young people and they ask you awkward questions, but you have a wealth and a lifetime of experience. Pay it forward, as Liz said earlier. So this has been presented by the America's Ethnic Diversity Network, this panel discussion. If you're a BT employee, go to your workplace and type in Ethnic Diversity Network Americas, and you'll see a link to us. Join us, join us, join us. And I guess, wow, we're right at the top of the hour. Thank you for coming, and everybody have a great day, and we'll see you at the next event. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Well done, Eric.
Thanks, Bye.